All hail Caesar! We're going to share our take on the classic Caesar salad, the perfect recipe for a sunny spring day.
This series is all about wild seasonal ingredients and the rich smoky flavours that fire can bring to your cooking.
We want to reintroduce you guys into the art of cooking in the great outdoors, using forgotten ingredients, mouth-watering recipes to create a true feast over fire. This is Fire, Smoke and Iron.
We feel that nettles may have a bad reputation because of their stinginess, but for something that is so widely available, so delicious and incredibly nutritious, it's crazy that we're not using it more in our kitchens. So one of the stumbling blocks that people may see is the fact that they are so stingy. So when we're picking them, we always recommend that you don a glove and use this just to prevent your hands from getting stung. What we do is we pick the first 4 to 6 leaves just at the tips. Not only is this texturally a lot better, but it's also where all of the nutrients lie. So whilst nettles are readily available all year round, what you really mustn't do is pick them when they go to seed. Once they've gone to seed, they start to produce a substance that actually can interfere with our kidney function. It's really good for the birds and the butterflies, but not so good for us. So just be sure to pick the younger tips kind of earlier on in the year, or be sure to be picking nettles that maybe have been trimmed down in a garden verge or something, so that you can be sure to be eating the best part of the plant.
Let's start by getting our fire going. Today we're going to be using cotton wool, which we're going to dip in Vaseline. This is a really handy little fire lighter if you run out at home, and the Vaseline is going to slow down the burn of the cotton wool, giving you a few more minutes to get that fire lit. Next, we're going to take our flint and steel, or our ferro rod and striker, so a few sparks, and the cotton wool's lit. So now that's lit, we're going to take our primary fuel, which is going to be a bundle of twigs, nice and dry, pencil lead thickness, and we're going to just rest those on top without squashing that flame. Once that catches, we're going to add our secondary fuel, or kindling. Now that the fire's had 4 or 5 minutes to get nice and hot, we're going to add our tertiary fuel. And then we can add these in either the teepee shape that we added our kindling, or in a sort of Jenga style, and build up into a nice little tower. We get asked a lot of questions about where we get our fire pits from. Today we're cooking on the Country Fire Kitchen Portico Home Grill, which is a brilliant grill for cooking on at home. It's got a really nice adjustable grill racks, and it's got fire bricks lining it which retain all the heat. If you don't have one of these at home, then you can use a kettle barbecue or a fire bowl, anything that you can hold a fire in safely off the ground with a nice adjustable grill. To kick things off, we're going to make our Caesar dressing. It's super simple to make, it's full of flavour, and it's a really good thing to make in advance to keep in your fridge before cooking today's dish. We're going to start by taking our pestle and mortar, and we're going to add in 3 anchovies. And anchovies is what's going to give us this really nice sort of umami rich flavour. And we're going to give that a nice light bash, kind of break it all down. A splash of Worcester sauce and around a tablespoon of cider vinegar. And we're just going to keep working that until we get a nice sort of anchovy paste. And then now that's nicely broken down, we're going to add in some mayonnaise and go for around 4 or so tablespoons. And a good teaspoon of Dijon mustard. Just going to give a nice sort of warming background heat. We can start incorporating that all together. And then lastly, we've got some really nice mature Parmesan, finely grated, which we're just going to add in and mix through. We're going to add a touch of pepper. Mix that through to combine. And then there we have it. It couldn't be any more simple, just a few ingredients and it's full of flavour. So we're just going to pop this to the side and then we can crack on with the rest of our dish. So as with a lot of wild game in the UK, unfortunately we don't eat enough of it. Rabbit's a really lovely meat to eat. Lots of people just think it's a cute and fluffy animal and would rather leave it alone and just eat a chicken off the shelf. But I really do encourage you to try rabbit for yourselves at home and really try and support a local butcher or gamekeeper and get some for yourself. So we're going to be using the loins from the rabbit today. They're a really nice tender piece of meat, and from a young rabbit they can be grilled really quickly and they taste super lovely and tender. But we need to remove this silver skin. So we're going to do that by taking a really sharp knife, and we're just going to put our knife just under that silver skin and just gently tease that silver skin away. And we're going to remove it from the whole loin, trying to leave behind as much meat as you possibly can. As you can see on this loin, there is a little bit of blood meat. The blood meat I find can be a bit bitter, so we'll just kind of cut that away. And this is our last one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take each loin and we're going to cut it into bite-sized pieces. And now these are ready for marinating. So we're going to be marinating our rabbit loins, and we're going to be using our very own barbecue barn blend seasoning. So this is a really nice all-round seasoning. It's a little bit spicy, a little bit sweet, and it kind of just hits all those flavor notes that we're looking for. A good pinch all over our rabbit loin. And then we're just going to give those a little move around, making sure each piece is nice and evenly coated. So our rabbit's been in our marinade for around half an hour now. You can leave yours to go overnight in the fridge, but make sure to remove it from the fridge around an hour before you want to cook it. We're going to be skewering our rabbit with some green streaky bacon. It's really important when you're skewering anything over fire to use metal, as the metal conducts the heat, which means you can get a nice even cook. The twist or a flat skewer also helps for your meat to turn every time you turn it, as opposed to it always falling to its heaviest side. So we're going to take our bacon, followed by a piece of rabbit. We're going to shift the piece of bacon around, and we're going to repeat that until we've covered the skewer. And we're just going to continue to do that until we've used up the rabbit meat. So next up, we need to make our tempura batter. We've just got some plain flour, which we're going to place in our bowl. A nice pinch of salt. And then we've got 1 egg, which we're just going to crack into a little well in the middle. To make our batter really light, you generally use sparkling water or something fizzy. Today, we're going to be using a beer, and this is a really nice local beer from the Crafty Brewing Co., which they collaborated with the Surrey Search and Rescue to produce a beer, and all the profits go to charity. So we're just going to whisk it in nice and quickly. It doesn't matter if there are some lumps, they're going to dissipate as soon as they hit the hot fat when we come to fry our nettle tops, which Becky picked for us earlier. I'm going to add a touch more. And the bubbles from the beer is just going to give us a super light, fluffy batter. It's going to make our nettles really, really crisp. So it's quite a wet batter, fairly loose, but it means we're going to get a good covering on all of our nettle leaves. We're just going to put a pan near the fire, and we're going to heat up some oil ready to fry our nettles. So we just want enough oil to cover the bottom of the pan. We don't want to deep fry the nettles, we just want a nice shallow fry, but we want to make sure the tempura gets super crispy. Now it's time to get our frazzles onto the grill. We're just going to pop these straight on to the grill, and you should hear a nice little sizzle. You don't want it to be too aggressive, but you do want it to sizzle. You might have to, as the rabbit cooks and the bacon fat renders, move them around. As the fat hits the coals, it's going to send up little pockets of flames. And that all adds flavour, but at some point it might get a little bit too much. So we'll just move them to a cooler spot, and we'll just control the fire as we need to as we cook. But as the rabbit's on, we're just going to check the temperature of our oil using an instant read thermometer. And we want it to be around 160 degrees, which is sort of a good frying temperature. Make sure that the tempura batter gets nice and crisp. Almost there. Another minute or two before the nettles go in. So we're going to take our nettles, we're going to take the whole top. You can wear gloves or use tongs if you want. If you're nice and gentle, they shouldn't sting you. And we're just going to rub those around in the batter, and that's going to sizzle away nicely. So we're just going to keep battering and adding our nettles to the pan until we've filled the pan up. We don't want to overcrowd it, just 4 or 5 or as much as your pan can handle. So now we're just going to take this time whilst the nettles cook to check our rabbit. We'll hope that they're not stuck to the grill. And then we can turn them, and we're looking for a nice colour. They should have gone golden, and the bacon will start to crisp up a little bit as the fat renders. And then we can just turn them sort of 90 degrees and cook on the other face. The rabbit frazzles should cook quite quickly. We want the rabbit to be nice and moist in the middle and the bacon to be nice and crispy. Now we can check on our nettles and we give them a turn, and they should be nice and golden. Our tempura nettles are cooked through and they're super golden and super crispy. So we're just going to take them and put them on a tray with some kitchen roll on it, and that's just going to soak up any of the excess oil, keeping them crunchier for longer. So we're just going to check our rabbit. We're going to use a thermopen or an instant read thermometer. We want it to be around 65 to 70 degrees. The bacon's nice and crispy, so we know it's cooked. We're just checking that rabbit. Perfect. We're going to take them and just place them on a plate, and they can just rest for a moment or two. The frazzles are beautifully golden, the rabbit's just cooked through, it should be beautifully moist, and the bacon's super crispy. We're going to take a platter, and we've got some baby gem. It wouldn't be a Caesar salad without any form of leaves. So we're just going to remove the outer leaves, and each one of these skewers is going to sit inside a piece of baby gem, and you can pick it up, wrap it up, and eat it as it is. So next, we're going to place on our rabbit, removing it from the skewer. Got one leaf too many, so we'll just take them to the side. And then we've got our nettle tempura, and you can hear that it's super crunchy and crispy. And we're just going to put these in and around. So it's always nice to add a final little flourish, and today we're going to use some pickled radishes. They're super vibrant and pink. The basic pickle liquor with a few peppercorns and a little bit of caraway seed, a bit of shallot as well. So we're just going to drain those off. And then we're just going to drape a few on and around. And it's just going to add some nice little spikes of sharp acidity to cut through the bacon fat. Lastly, we're just going to pop some of our Caesar dressing in a bowl on the side so everyone can dig in and help themselves. And fill this all the way up. And you can just tuck that in on the corner there. Delicious, fresh and rich, our wild Caesar salad, the perfect recipe for a sunny spring day. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you get a chance to recreate this dish at home for your friends and family, then we'd love for you to share it on social media so we can see it. As always guys, don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date with future episodes. You're not going to want to miss the next one.